Back at it, top of the morning, top of the morning.
I'll let you know which lies as soon as my judicial assistant responds. All right, just a moment. I received a two-page letter from juror number 15 from Mr. Hakeem Robinson's jury, so let me read it, and then I will advise you all about it.
Top of it, come in, hit the like button.
All right, so as you recall, juror number 15 is the alternate number 3 for Mr. Hakeem Robinson, the woman that sits in the far box that way. If the parties and court reporter want to come sidebar, I'll let you read the letter from juror number 15, and then we can discuss what to do.
Into it. Also trial. Queso trial. Day 4. Top of the morning. Be right back, be right back. Damn. Miss Muffin, what it do? Good morning. Good morning. Excuse me. You know what kind of, I don't know. Shit, you ready for court? You ready to start? I guess you got here too early for him. Trying to catch the shit. Maybe that's on me. Y'all know I be faded sometimes. So there they go, they in the courtroom. I seen all this. They just waiting on court to start, actually, though. Shit. Yeah, I just got here a little early. Hope everybody got a good nap last night.
All right, so as you recall, juror number 15 is the alternate number 3 for Mr. Hakeem Robinson, the woman that sits in the far box that way. If the parties and court reporter want to come sidebar, I'll let you read the letter from juror number 15, and then we can discuss what to do.
Juror number 15 wrote a letter. Yeah, man, motherfucker, we shit. I guess we just got here too early.
You're not just a homeowner. You're also a bug in the basement with a frightening number of legs owners. An ice maker that didn't read the job description.
Court and reset. Continue. We expect testimony from Hakeem Robinson's father today. Uh-oh.
All right, then if all sides are ready, I do want to bring out juror number 15 to inquire. I just want to be absolutely clear, this juror is not going to be filmed in any way. So, thank you. Let's bring her out and have her stand right there, please, juror number 15.
Queso trial. About to start. Testimony from his father today. I think somebody just wrote a letter saying, please make sure that this trial is not recorded. Excuse me. Would you be so kind to come in hitting that like button? Trial is in recess, about to start. They getting it together. I guess they finna come in the morning or coming straight in with somebody finna take the stand. Court is currently in sidebar. Yeah, they discussing the letter they just read. What's going on, Miss Muffin? You all right this morning, though? Appreciate you tuning in this morning. Sorry, they so slow with it. I jumped up ready trying to, get some little shit going, and man, we too early. We too early to the party. I don't want us to hear it right now. It ain't me, it's them. It ain't me, it's them.
Any matters to address before we bring out both panels?
Okay, we finna get it going. Opinions.
Have you shown those to the defense? Okay, can you tell me the exhibit numbers? Are they the nines? Oh.
Which are AT&T records, A, which are T-Mobile records, 9Z, which are T-Mobile records, 9Y, T-Mobile records, 9X, AT&T records, 9W, which are T-Mobile records, as well as 9T, which is Apple account information for SO8198442, also A94gmail.com, iCloud.com, which is 19.
Okay, and this is as to both Defendant Whitaker and Defendant Robinson? Okay, any objection from Defendant Whitaker?
Any thoughts? Jump in the comment section. Day four. Father takes the trial, takes the stand.
Which that specifically?
That's the next thing of interest. That's states 10 which is that.
Okay. All right, thank you. And as for Defendant Robinson?
Your Honor, we added that objection, have a few more. With respect to that objection, it allows the state to have an advocate, so to speak, in the jury room. For that reason, it should be a demonstrative. The other objections that we have is contained within the materials, and the state can correct me if I'm wrong, there's some text messages. Those text messages are from the year prior, that there's volleys back and forth. Tell me if this is not this witness. Okay, so I'll table that objection. Then the only other one is, my understanding is for any of the iCloud data, they're entering it for the record, but not into evidence to go back with the jury with everything that's in the iClouds.
For the exhibit that I'm seeking to introduce now, just the icon records, that's just
You want iCloud data.
information. There are additional records that
Police said iPhones.
for witness. It would not be the entirety of the selected items.
Okay, so that's not this witness. All right.
Especially in Orly, you know, when they testify to phone records and app.
Okay.
Police ass iPhone.
All right, so do you want to table that until the next witness, or the appropriate witness, Mr. DeCoste?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
The non-print in advance objection that we do have is to renew one, which is the color coding of our client. If Your Honor remembers from the demonstrative that was used in opening statement that our client was in red, we objected to that. Red is universally known as a color of danger. Here, the phone number for the computer is in red, and I think that there may also be a there are numbers in here, there are two different numbers that are in red. Even subconsciously, this says to the jury, connect this with the red that you have for Mr. Robinson. So we have the 478 number, which is an unknown number, that they believe the computer has in their possession. And then a phone call is incoming to one of Mr. Robinson's other phones is also. So Your Honor will see an 800 number.
Wait, I'm trying to look for a red number so far. I'm on page 10 and I haven't seen one yet. Hold on. Okay, page what?
So Your Honor goes to page 17, you see a 478 number on the right hand side.
Yes.
16.
Okay, yes.
All right. So that number is the phone that they believe the shooter had. And they've already coded Mr. Robinson to come to red. And if you go to page 18, on the left-hand side, there's an 800 number. That's an incoming phone call on Mr. Robinson's known phone, unrelated to the 478 number. So this, I don't think helps the jury. I think it's confusing. We're just asking for colors that don't confuse them into thinking, oh, this is all Hakeem Robinson.
Okay. Any response?
The maps are an exhibit and they're routinely introduced to juries. Slides that predate or that are before the map are necessary to explain to the jury what some of the records are and not to look at the maps, not interpret what they see on the maps. And the color coding is based upon the states that have evidence that we are going to present other witnesses that will come in and have codes.
Your Honor, what I'm hearing is that they haven't laid the foundation to link the 478 number to Mr. Robinson, so we'd add that objection. And then we don't object to the maps, we don't object to the data, we object to the color coding. These expert witnesses are supposed to help.
Couple reds. Honestly, there's more orange and teal than there are red. So if the color coding is the objection, I'm going to overrule it.
And the lack of foundation.
Okay, well, certainly predicate will need to be laid. Well, we have the business certification.
This is not specified to who any of those numbers belong to.
Okay.
It's the permission for the numbers that you have.
All right, so as to both Mr. Whitaker and to Mr. Robinson, I'll overrule the objection as to 10M. I think that was it. As to the other exhibits, though, that were mentioned, there was no objection from Mr. Whitaker. Any objection from Mr. Robinson?
Top of the morning. Queso trial, day 4.
The other
Father's
one's the state
supposed to be
outline,
taking the
I think they are
stand.
9
Just getting a little coverage in
W, X,
for my
Y,
work
Z,
day
10,
start.
A, B, C, D, and E.
No new objection. The same objections. Apply here today.
Reaction. Your thoughts. Day 4.
Okay. All right, then if nothing else, are we ready to bring the jurors in? Oh. Why don't you do it with the detective? Okay. Here it is, so we'll return it. All right, then if all sides are ready, why don't we get the jurors in and seated so we may begin?
Jurors coming in, they finna be seated. I want to see who finna be first to take the stand. Been the longest goddamn intro to court forever, man. Y'all make sure y'all stay hydrated. 95 today, get that water in your system.
To continue with our duty at hand, before we begin, I, of course, am going to ask all of you whether or not during this weekend recess, any of you inadvertently perhaps may have seen, read, watched, or listened to any news stories that may have been printed or aired about this case. So please raise your hand. All right, I see no hands raised. Did anyone during this weekend recess, or even as you arrived here this morning or left on Friday afternoon, approach you or attempt to speak to you or say anything to you about this case? If so, please raise your hand. All right, for the record, I see no hands raised. Has anyone, friends, family, or otherwise, tried to share information with you about anything to do with this case, the issues in this case, or the people and places involved in this case? If so, please raise your hand. Bless you, ma'am. All right, and I see no hands raised. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, then we are going to continue with the state's case in chief, and at this time I'll call upon the state to call its next witness. Agent Corley, please.
Here we go.
Let's run store.
30 chairs, non-squeak.
Let's run
15 non-walk.
Let's run.
Lights.
Let's run.
Where'd we gonna find all this stuff?
I already ordered it.
Huh?
All right, sir, if you'll come forward and be sworn. All right, you'll have a seat there on the witness stand. And be sure to speak closely, loudly, and clearly into the microphones. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Yes, my name is Special Agent Rob Corley. I work with the FBI in Jacksonville Division, and I'm assigned to the office in Daytona Beach.
How long have you worked with the FBI?
Since 2011,
And what is your current position?
current position is I am assigned to the counterintelligence squad.
In addition to being counterintelligence, are you also a CAST agent?
I am.
Can you explain to the jury what is CAST?
So CAST is a group of about 80 to 90 agents and task force officers across the United States who receive advanced training and cellular analysis and location information. We have three primary functions. We respond to situations that involve locating individuals in real time, so tracking fugitives, looking for missing children, victims who have been kidnapped. So we use this information we're going to talk about today in real time to locate people. I've located fugitives, I've located missing children, and I've located the bodies of victims using this information. We also provide training to state and local and other federal partners in this same area. And we do what I'm doing here today, which is testify as a witness to help explain the subject matter.
Can you explain to the jury your educational background?
I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and a master's degree in criminal justice.
And you also have a background in the military?
I do have a background in the military. I was a captain in the U.S. Air Force.
And did your background in the military use this type of technology?
Yes, I was a logistician. So we used similar technology to track cargo equipment moving in and out of Afghanistan. I also worked on some projects where we used RFID to find large warehouses.
Do you have any specialized training in your field specifically related to historical mobile device location analysis?
I do, yes, sir.
Can you explain that to the jury?
So I am CAST certified. The certification process for CAST requires us to go through several iterations of training. At this point, I've received about 400 hours of training in cellular analysis. It starts with a basic course where we learn the basics of records I'm going to explain today. We go through an advanced course, which gets into other types of records, location records, timing advance, and then we move on to an environment where we use the information in a command post situation to see if we can come up with the same solutions that other CAST agents have come up with in real-world scenarios. If you progress through those, you're selected for CAST certification. CAST certification is 160 hours of training. It starts with Introduction to Radio Frequency Theory, which is taught by PhD professors from the Florida Institute of Technology. We receive 40 hours of training in that, and then we receive about 40 hours of training from each of the cell phone providers. So they bring in the people that actually maintain and pull these records that we're going to talk about today, and they bring in their engineers that set up their networks to tell us how and why they set up their networks that way. And then there's some additional training on software mapping, court testimony, a thing we call a drive test where we use equipment to measure the footprint of cell towers. And then once you complete all that, you're certified. We also are required to attend an annual recertification where they bring in those same providers to provide any updates to their records, allow us to ask questions to the engineers. They talk about new and emerging technologies such as 5G would be a big one right now that's going on. And we also get training from other companies like Apple, Google, Facebook, Meta. We recently had training from Starlink, which is now your phone's connecting to satellites. So they bring in all kinds of people to give us information on emerging topics in location analysis.
Approximately how many times in the past have you had the opportunity to analyze historical call detail records with location information?
More than 100 cases,
And approximately how many times have you testified in court related to this work?
21 times.
Where all have you testified?
I've testified in this district in Jacksonville and Clay County. I've testified in Volusia County. I've testified in federal court in Fort Myers and Tampa, also Pensacola. I've testified in Knoxville, Tennessee, and Savannah, Georgia.
And have you been accepted as an expert interpreting this type of data?
Yes,
Is your analysis peer reviewed?
it is.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would tender Special Agent Corley for Diet.
Okay, any additional questions from Defendant Whitaker? And from Defendant Robinson?
No, Your Honor.
All right, may proceed.
In this case, did you create a report with visuals to help the jury understand your analysis?
I did.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Corley, I'm showing you the mark 6 and 10.
Got a smart guy up here, man.
Do you recognize the contents of that binder?
Yes, it's my report.
All right. On behalf of Defendant Whitaker? Understood. On behalf of Mr. Robinson?
Same here, subject to previous motions and objections.
All right. And subject to those motions and objections, states 10M will be marked into evidence as states number 246. Yes.
Agent Corley, do you see the screen in front of you?
I do, yes, sir.
Is this the same report that's contained within that binder?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah.
And so we can see here on this first page all of the numbers that you analyzed.
That's correct.
Starting on page 3, can you explain to the jury how a cell phone generally works in conjunction with cell phone towers?
Sure.
There's more
So
you asking
cell towers are
questions, it's
connected
saying it
to
right here
each
on the
other
screen.
to communicate back and forth. They're also connected to traditional landlines. So they move information and data from those towers to either over the internet, other landlines, or directly to towers. In order for your cell phone to communicate with a tower, it uses radio frequency. Your cell phone, when on, is constantly scanning its environment to try to figure out what tower it wants to connect to. So it's going to decide, the cell phone itself will decide what tower it thinks has the best signal for use. And once it makes that selection, it continues that.
Jacksonville.
And when a call comes in or goes out, it's
So I
going to
guess this is
select
a
that
cell
tower
phone
to,
guy here, though.
complete that call. But it is constantly scanning the environment. So if you get up and move, you change directions, you leave the courtroom, it will then decide that if there's another tower that it thinks better is at that point. So it will make the switches. So it's constantly scanning to make those connections.
And once the phone selects a tower and a connection is made, like a phone call, are reports generated by the phone companies that you can review?
Yes. So once the phone makes a connection to the tower, it generates in the call detail records the timestamp, the tower and sector information that is reflected in the CDRs.
On page 4 of your report, can you explain to the jury what a cell phone tower looks like to the average person?
Sure. The cell tower up in the top left corner is what we would call a monopole. That's probably the most common configuration. Think if you see it out on the interstate, the tall poles with the array of antennas on top of it. Towers can appear, especially in Jacksonville and other urban environments. They're on the sides of buildings, and in some places they're hidden or disguised in everyday items such as a flagpole, or in this case, when city requirements require it to not be so ugly, they camouflage with this tree because they think that's not ugly. So there's a bunch of different configurations, and those cell phone towers are then split into sectors. There are several configurations. You can have a 6-sided tower. You can have an omnidirectional tower, which covers 360 degrees. But by far the most common configuration of all cell towers in the United States is a 3-sided tower. So you have a tower that is then divided into 3 equal sectors, and each sector serves a specific area. The phone companies provide us the direction that the center of that sector points to. It's known as an azimuth. So if you have in this illustration a 0 azimuth, you're pointing at true north, the direct center of that sector. So now we know if we have a tower, a sector, and the direction that that sector points at, we can then narrow down the location area of a device when it connects to the tower.
Can you say how much of a geographic area each tower will cover?
It's
Anybody understand
varies
it?
based off of the areas in which the towers are placed. So in a rural area, it can be a very large area, say 10 miles between towers or even 20 miles between towers in some instances. In a very dense urban area like New York City, you're going to have a tower every block. So if you're in a small area, and in an urban area like Jacksonville, it's going to
I
range
know,
somewhere
right?
in between.
It's coming to sounding like the
You said
millie
earlier that
shit.
the phone is the one selecting the tower.
So much
Always
wrapped
the
in
closest
around them phone
Not always. It's
towers.
going to select the tower that it sees as having the best signal. That's usually the closest tower, but not always.
Okay. What kind of factors can impact that?
So them
Environmental
and
factors such
they
as
not always
obstructions,
accurate too though.
The place you're in a very hardened concrete building like a
But-
giant courthouse, there might be some things that delay a signal. If I was sitting with a 6-inch thick brick
You
wall
it's
behind
just
me
the
and a
thing
window
of
in
why
front
would
of me,
you
you
want
might
them
select the
just
tower that's
pinging?
5 miles in
Why
front of
you
me versus the tower
slide,
that's 2 miles
ride?
behind me.
Cell phone towers, are they like GPS records where they can put somebody in a particular point?
No, it's a general location. This is not a precise location.
General
We can't
location,
say
though.
that someone is sitting in this chair in this room. We can say that they're in an area covered by a cell tower and sector.
Do phone companies maintain GPS records?
They do not historical GPS records.
Showing you page 5 of your report, can you explain how you interpret the call detail records, and we'll show those to the jury in a minute, but how you explain call detail records on a map?
So thinking back to that graphic in the tower before, this is a sector representing 120 degrees facing true north or zero azimuth, and it's illustrated on the map with this wedge. We're able to
Man, you know some shit I was watching last night. I was watching
based on the next
what it
closest
do,
tower.
El Pot.
So based on
I
the
was watching
positioning
when
of the
Young and
tower,
Ace
we can provide an estimate on where a phone was located.
when
during the time
he
of
was doing a
in
reaction,
this call, you'll see on
like his
several
reaction
maps, there'll
of
be
like
multiple sectors off one tower.
people
So the shaded area is just there
documenting
to help
him
you
and shit.
orientate towards which sector is being used and which direction is pointing. That is not the coverage area of that cell tower.
Okay, so as you just explained, the shaded area is just showing you that we're in this part of the sector, but it could be somewhere out in that area.
That is correct. And it's also, every tower is configured differently. There is no sector
would be
one is
wild.
always 0 degrees azimuth. It could be 10 on one tower, and it could be 30 on another tower. So it's whatever the engineers determine is the best position for those towers to provide.
Why you say
coverage to
that though,
customers.
El?
Page 6, can you explain this to the jury?
Sure. So along with the sectors, you're going to have a call-out box on each map, and that call-out box is going to provide some basic information. Up in the green, you'll see that it will provide the unique identification for that tower being used. The sector is that -13 in this case, and then it's going to provide the date, the time, the number of the device being used, the type of event that's happening, the direction, and then the associated number with that call.
Okay. And then in some of the boxes, you may get a number, like a 3, I'm going to make one up, but like a 3-digit number that indicates the azimuth.
Yes, so if there are multiple sectors off one tower, I try to include the azimuth in there so you know which call happened on which sector. So if you see a number in there, we'll see on the map, I'll point them out, but I also included the
I wonder
azimuth.
whose
so you know
cell
which
phone
sector
is
being
he
used.
really keying
Where do
in
the
on?
records come from that you use to generate these maps?
Queso or he
Records come
finna
from the cellular companies.
Is there other information that you need to generate the maps that doesn't come from the cell phone companies?
Yeah, so along with the call detail records, which include the tower and sector used, I need a tower records, which include where is that tower geographically located with the GPS coordinates. So where is the tower located, and then what is the azimuth of that sector. So those are provided in tower records, and then I also need to know what times and what locations are relevant to the analysis.
So just to touch on that second point first, you're an FBI analyst interpreting cell phone records.
Correct.
Are you involved in the actual investigation of the cases in which you're assisting?
No, when I testify as a CAS agent, I'm not. So I'm an agent that investigates my own crimes, but not my crimes that have been committed.
What the fuck?
But no, in this case, I am only here
You're independent.
to advise on the cellular records.
So the dates, the times, the phone numbers that are given to you, you don't know the significance of any of those.
In most cases, no.
And then on to the first thing, the tower list. So are
Pods,
cell
why you
phone
say it's
companies
gonna lead up to the Fulio
report to
case?
the federal government where their towers are located?
Yes.
And when you're creating maps, in this case, this homicide happened in 2020 or in 2025, are you using the tower records from 2020 to perform your map?
Yes, I use the tower records that are most closely related to the event that happened.
Going to slide 7. Can you explain to the jury what timing advance is?
Sure. Timing advance is an engineering term which refers to the distance or the time that it takes for a signal to travel from the cell phone to from the tower to the device and then back to the tower.
And the Lord
Based
said
on
he
the
made a
time
call to
measurement
6
of that
block.
event, the
And they
network
real
then
fooled
calculates
up
an
on before they
estimated distance
did
of where that
and
is.
kill him.
Timing,
Like they played both sides.
Location works for a bat.
similar.
And why does timing advance exist? What is the purpose of it?
So timing advance is necessary in order to make the system work. So I like to point out, like if we all got up and ran out that door right now in an emergency situation, we would all crash into each other and fall and fail, right? But if we all got up in an orderly manner, proceeded through the door when we were supposed to, we would get out much more efficiently. So timing advanced is for that same reason. So all these phones and devices.
I feel like the only way Young and Ace come up in this shit though, bro, is if one of them niggas go rogue and wanna, you know what I'm saying, be like I wanna tell you about some shit. But other than that, I don't think so though.
It just needs to know an area. So timing advanced is really a measure of a timing advanced band. So the network saying
but
your phone is located.
you know what I'm saying? The niggas are already down for who killed Fulio.
It knows that it needs to back up the things that it needs to do in order for the information to get to your device when it's necessary.
And this is separate than somebody.
Like I said, this was some personal shit. You know what I'm saying? They slammed on his big brother, so it was personal.
So these measurements are happening whether you're using your device or not. So as long as your device is on, the network can take timing advance measurements.
Only way
from
Young
the
and Ace
device.
really come
So
up
it
is this
takes
shit
frequencies.
lead.
It's set up differently for different market areas and according to what your phone's doing. So if it's taken 10 measurements of your phone in the exact same location, the network's going to say, quit measuring that. It's a waste of time. That phone hasn't moved. It'll pick back up measurements again when it detects that your phone's in a different location.
We've used the word band. Is that what reflective here of this kind of red shape here?
Correct. That band represents the known distance of timing advance bands, which is 76 meters for 4G
I
technology.
think if this just lead to the Fulio case, it's because a motherfucker talking want to give a nigga up.
Correct.
Well,
I'm sorry, 78 meters.
will a phone always be inside of the band?
The majority of the time, the phone will fall within the band. There are instances where that signal can be bounced, which causes even a millisecond of a delay will then increase or add some distance. So
I wonder what all this shit finna get to. Who phone, like I'm saying?
From the phone to that tower,
Shit.
took a slight variation. It bounced off a window, bounced off some sort of obstruction. So I had to go around. That little fraction of a second could add distance in the calculation. So sometimes the phone will be located within a band or two of the actual distance put in the records.
So in the instance where there's that kind of interference you just described, somebody would be slightly inside by a band.
It could, yes.
And so the difference would be like standing on the front steps of the courthouse versus being inside of a courtroom. There could be some interference by the radio frequency.
Correct. So, I mean, a difference in talking through it mathematically.
Ever wondered what your home looks like from space? Enter your address and get
Probably
a 360-degree
did
satellite
out
view of your
snitching.
home. Right?
It's closer.
Burner. Yeah, and I feel like they were wrong about Scotty. I don't think Scotty told on Queso though, like I was saying, like he, you know, his lawyer was just trying to separate him from you know, some shit, but I don't think.
Where all of the phone companies
I don't think.
advance records.
No, back then only Verizon and Sprint provided timing advance records. Again, these are records that all carriers take. They're not mandated by law to be provided, so the carriers provide them if they maintain records of them.
Okay. So T-Mobile and AT&T did not.
Not at that time, no.
And again,
Y'all
these
think
are not
Young and Ace watching this case?
They're not GPS records.
Switch gears for a moment and show you the phone records. One of the phone numbers that was provided to you, 904-485-7529,
Okay, here we go.
there was no mappable data for that phone for this time period.
Correct.
And again, you
Probably
don't know
not.
which record is associated to what person.
I do not.
I think his ass is.
904, 704, 1595 as an example, and that states 232. So when you receive and when the jury receives these records, do they include with them what's called a records key?
They do.
And I'm showing you the records key here. Can you explain to the jury what the record key is?
So it's just an explanation of what each column in the record does. So if you're not familiar with it, you can use this key to kind of go, it gives you a little explanation of what each column is providing.
And I don't think the jury has heard this term yet, so I want to highlight.
Right. Hoping his name don't come up. Just like what you talking about, El. Like what you said it lead to. Shit, I think a nigga watching this shit just trying to see what's gonna be said.
Or then adjusted to. So universal time coordinated would be 0, and then other time zones would then adjust forward.
You know, you might see something in this to let you know, hey, I need to prepare.
It would be -4 hours during daylight savings time, -5 hours during non-daylight savings time or standard time. So it would be UTC -5.
So for January of 2020, it would be -5.
It would be -5 standard time. Eastern Standard Time is -5.
Just as an example, if the record said 5 p.m.
Then by
UTC,
me
what would be
seeing what I saw last night,
12 p.m. 12 noon, yep.
and then
he watched shit that be on his name on the internet.
say it was 4 a.m.
True, I think it's gonna expose what happened to JD Young and too. All this exposed in the world.
July at 4 a.m. The actual event would have happened the 26th of July at 11 p.m.
I think, okay, JD Youngin. Man, I was sliding through, I was coming from Florida. Right when JD Youngin got killed, right, unalive. And I wanted to was I coming through Florida? I know I then ran out of gas in New Orleans though. Right before you get out, you know, right before you coming up out of New Orleans, there really ain't too many gas stations and shit. So I was really finna slide through Bogalusa. I was gonna slide through that motherfucker, but it was like maybe an hour and a half out the way. But you know, I kind of feel like just respectfully, everything I'm saying is for entertainment purposes. But I kind of feel like even though JD Youngin and Youngin, they weren't just really tight how they was before he died. But I kind of feel like, you know, the shit that happened in Bogalusa, you know, I ain't got nothing to do with this shit. You know, bruh had his own shit going on down there too, though. You know, they had their own little war going on. And you in a small ass city like that, and you got the vets parked outside, you know, noticeable. Top of the morning, noticeable. Like really, bro, when you in a little small city like that, you gotta move better. Like the dissing. If you go back though, they got some little stories out on this shit. I kind of feel like I said,
Universal time code.
what happened with this shit is what happened with it though.
T-Mobile, AT&T, yes, Verizon, and Sprint, they're all different varying things. But nowadays, most are all going towards UTC, but T-Mobile and AT&T were.
And Sprint at that time was using.
Nigga just got caught.
Sprint at that time was using local time for
lacking.
some call records and central time for other call records.
He paroled out to
In this case, it was local
to
time.
Bogalusa.
I want to give the jury an example
Like
of
I
what they're
said,
looking at. I'm referencing what's called
noticeable
report
car parked out in the front yard.
704,
Man, nigga
1595
done.
number. So can you explain just briefly what the columns are that you
Snuffs, yeah.
and first of all, what is this page reflective of?
This page is the voice records, or the records for voice calls over AT&T's network.
And explain to the jury just briefly what are the different columns and what's important to you for mapping purposes.
Yeah, so item 1 is just a number in the row in the record. So in here there's 12 records, so 1 through 12. You have the connection date, which is important, and the connection time in UTC. You have the
But one
estimated time
thing
of
for
the
sure,
call, which
Pat,
is 16
you
seconds on the first
never
one.
know.
The number that started the call and
You
the number that was
never
called.
know, though.
And
You
then
see
in
what
this
I'm
instance,
saying? You
AT&T
never
and
know,
T-Mobile, they
man.
also provide
But that's just in
some,
my opinion.
information specific to the device being used. And then the
I
type
just
of
feel like
an MT is mobile terminating.
it's enough when you get a chance to check it out. It's enough out there on that Jada Young and shit though that you know, I feel like his little situation is what it is. They were trying to say his daddy had something to do with it. Yeah, that was his.
Location or the GPS location for that tower. And
They were trying to say that come from the mama. The mama was saying some little bullshit like that. You know what I'm saying? Because yeah, they come from the mama, but man, you know, everybody gonna have their conspiracies. I think we went through this shit one day. Everybody had some little conspiracies, but
we don't use the records. We don't use the tower information in the
yeah,
records
cause his daddy, I think his daddy might have some little shit going on, and
For
but
example,
nah,
where it's
man.
item 4, where it says 20:03:06, that's a military time, but it's also uniform or UTC, so that would be 15:03:06. So what's that? 3 p.m.
3-0.
3 p.m. Yes.
Yeah.
You said that these are
306. I know
the
3
phone
p.m.
call
You
records.
said 1506. How's that 3
As
p.m.?
it relates to
If it's
FaceTime,
1506, it's 306. So they
calls.
wrong on the time,
No, so
all I'm
kind
saying,
of,
somebody gonna tell not to get the death penalty,
streaming
man.
service or streaming
Oh,
network occurrence in data sessions
yeah.
will be
Okay,
reflected in
okay,
the records as a data session.
okay.
And when we're reflecting data sessions necessarily match up exactly with, like, say, for instance, a FaceTime call.
No, it could be its own data session. It likely would be embedded in multiple things that were happening during a data session.
That
if you
Barnum
have a
nigga don't look
60-minute
like he
data
would have
session,
been around younger
I
age.
can't tell you.
I feel
what
like
time you started
everybody that was
using
around
your
younger
scan app,
age. I
or
mean,
what
that
time
was
you made a
around
Facebook poll,
Jada
and then what
Young.
time you got on
You know, might have
Google and
might have
searched for
been.
something. So
I
it's
don't know.
all
I'm gonna go
within
back
that
and
same
check it
data
out.
session.
So FaceTime calls are not going to be reflected in the call logs.
No.
And then what about, like, iMessages?
iMessages, iPhone to iPhone, which makes it an actual iMessage. It would be a data session also, so it would be reflected in data sessions. If you went iPhone to Google, it would not actually be an iMessage, even though it's coming from an iPhone. It has to be, both people have to be have iMessage enabled for it to be an actual message. So if both are enabled and it's going back and forth over Apple phones, it's going to be a data session. If it's mixing Apple and Google, then it would likely show up in the records as an SMS.
And just to highlight further, so if a data session exists, it could be that I sent one iMessage, it could be that I sent 500 iMessages, you just can't tell by these records.
That's correct. I don't know what's happening during the data sessions.
So let's look at the data sessions. So I'm showing you the next page of this. Is this what the data sessions look like for the 904, 704, 1595 number?
Yes.
And this set of records we can see comes from AT&T, where there's, in 2020, were there some companies that could or could not have data sessions?
There were companies that
Florida,
chose not to have
Alabama,
data sessions for.
Mississippi,
have the data sessions,
Louisiana,
and
Texas
most
still
of
giving death
95 to
penalties.
98% of the time
Straight
they were accurate,
drop
but there were some known
got capital
inconsistencies with
punishment
AT&T.
here in Bama.
Again, it's not mandated by law that they have to provide these records.
Somebody
so
gonna tell you not to get their death
They
penalty,
had some
man. Them boys.
inconsistencies that
When
we
you
weren't
put it
comfortable
like
with.
that,
So
though,
as
bro,
cast, we chose not to
anything
have
possible.
So even though AT&T records were 95 to 98% reliable, Cass said
A
that's
nigga
not
think of some shit.
Right, there were
Cause I was just sitting over here thinking like, who will remain solid? I was like, Queso look like he'll remain like, what?
They have since fixed
And
that.
some shit like
So
this though, like when you facing real time like this, you have to give these folks some information. You know what I'm saying? That they don't know about. Cause see, really, this case pretty much done for. You know, we y'all on trial for this motherfucker, so ain't too much more you can say about this. So it'll have to
We
be
know what
something
kind
that'll
of records
lead
we're
to
looking at
something
and
else.
which ones may contain those anomalies, so we do now, but we didn't then.
What about T-Mobile? Could you map data sessions for T-Mobile in 2020?
T-Mobile, yes, under certain circumstances, we look at it as the totality of events. So you look at the actual records themselves, and if it meets criteria,
Yes,
then yes, we will.
and truth be told,
Just
it
to give
ain't
an
no
example,
telling what these young
some of
men
the
know.
columns. So
You
say
see
for
what I'm saying? They
instance,
still ride
column
around with guns.
line
They
45
doing
here.
slime ball shit
10:08,
with.
that's UTC, that's
So-
5:08 a.m. Right? And then we have the phone number, and then it tells us there's data going up and that there's data going down. So uploading, downloading things.
Correct.
Man, what happened to?
I want to jump down a little bit
No.
to lines 42 and 43. So do you see line 42 there?
Yes.
So this is on January the 15th, 2020. And that's about 7:11 a.m.
7/11/09. It would be exactly 5 hours before.
5 hours before.
And we can see there's data sessions going data up and down.
Correct.
Right. And then the next entry at line 43, we have at
I just don't get it though,
18:10,
man. I don't think I don't really understand, man.
So about 1 p.m.
Yeah.
1:10:44.
Correct.
And we have
Time after
lights
time
out.
after time, bro. When we know
Between those two times,
what
of
these cell phones do.
7:11:09 and 1:10:44.
I don't get why niggas don't.
on the phone number
What's so hard about,
947
man, just talking this shit
there are
out.
no data
Whatever we
sessions.
doing, we finna talk
What
about
does that
it, man. We
mean?
don't need no phone.
When you're using a phone that's dependent on a smartphone that's dependent on data connections, the most logical answer is the phone's off.
And this is an iPhone.
Correct.
I want to go back to the PowerPoint now.
Man, we gonna meet here every what's the line and talk about
I'm
this
showing
shit.
you page 8. Can you explain to the jury what?
We gonna meet at the mall. We gonna go
Sure,
shopping.
this is
We
a
gonna
geographic
act
representation
normal. We
of
gonna be
what
talking about.
areas
I don't
were provided to
know,
me
bro.
are locations of interest, and then the
All
actual
this
coverage for
texting
T-Mobile,
and
AT&T,
explaining
and
shit
Sprint.
and
T-Mobile's the
man,
green,
come on,
AT&T's the
man.
blue, Sprint's the black. This is the actual tower footprint for the Jacksonville area in 2020.
Okay. And just as an example, so here, there's a green dot. That's a T-Mobile tower, right?
Yes.
So even if I am like right next to the tower, but I am a Sprint customer, would I interact with that tower?
No.
So I can only interact with the tower that services my phone.
Correct.
Damn.
Well, I'll caveat that there are certain rules for roaming. I mean, if you're old enough to remember when you roamed on a network, but nowadays the coverages are so wide that networks don't want you operating on other networks because you have to provide money. So in this environment, no. And if it were roaming on another network, you wouldn't see it reflected in the records.
Going to page 9. Could you explain to the jury what we see on page 9?
This is the first slide of actual analysis of the device. So this shows the telephone ending in 3684 and 4911 on July 15th, 2020, between 4:42 a.m. and 5:26 a.m. So what it?
No, and I just want to take this as a moment. So you have these colors. So are all of these in that color from the 624, 3684, those are the records that come from that particular phone.
Yes.
And then same here with the 702, because we can see, for instance, at 501.28 and 501.22, drawing all over this. These two phones are interacting with each other, but these are the records coming from their respective phone providers.
Correct. So in this instance, the call at 5:01:22 a.m. is an outgoing call from 3684, which is located up near the green icon, and it's going into the phone number or the device using 4911, who's located on the green tower near the blue icon.
So the phone with the 3684 number is up here, and then it is going to move down here by the time of this call at 5:26.
That's correct.
States 10, or slide 10.
Sure. Go
This shows the location for phone ending in 3684 and 0896, both at 8 a.m.
That's how the people be
located
getting
in this
caught
area. So
up.
the phone ending in 3684 is represented
That makes
in
sense
orange,
too,
and
man.
it's hitting off the orange sector, and the phone ending in 0896 is hitting off of the silver sector.
And in some instances,
Stay in
do not
school,
actually need
kids.
sector information from the phone companies.
In rare instances, the sector information was not provided in Sprint records, and was not provided in the records.
For the kind of silvery color 305, 321, 096, there's not a sector, but you've got like a circle. Can you explain that to the jury?
Sure, so I know it hit off that tower, but I can't tell you which sector. So again, it's a broader geographic area where that phone could be located. It could be anywhere off that tower, which covers 360 degrees. So since we don't know the sector, I represent it as 360 because that's all I can tell you is it was on that tower.
The same general rules from before. You're not saying somebody's inside the shaded area. You're just saying they're interacting with that tower.
Nope, that's just to show you the orientation of the tower.
In the area.
Page 11. We talked a little bit about it earlier. So here we've got an instance where
So
there are
it's showing they went
two
to great
different sectors
lengths
being interacted with.
to show that you
And you had explained
in
with
that
my
area.
example that where you use the three numbers, that represents the azimuth. Can you emphasize that for the jury here?
Yep, so if you go back to the initial illustration, you think of it as a compass with 360 degrees. So in this case, the sector here points at 165 degrees on that compass, and the sector here points at 285 degrees.
right, that's crazy.
So
You was
at
in the area.
8:30
You can't say your ass was
to
there, but
9:30.
God damn it, we trying to solve a case.
624
And by you being in the area, you can't say where else you was at. Your cell phone say you was over here, bro.
Towers located in this
This your phone. It said you was over here in this area.
Page 12.
Why would your phone say you over here if you
This
wasn't
is the
over here?
first time
It's
that
your
we see
phone.
that timing
Your phone
advance.
came
So
from
can you
over
explain
here to
again
over
to
here.
the
Your
jury
phone
the timing
started
advance?
off at your house.
Again, so we
Now it's
have
over
the
here.
tower,
Yeah.
the sector, and estimated distance from the tower. So instead of having the entire area of that sector, we can narrow down further that it was in a more specific area of that sector.
And this is the first time that we see this 478-305-9583 number. You have it
Man, like I
indicated
said,
that it is in the area.
you know you finna be on this type of
7001 Merrill Road
You
address.
probably need to
Yes, I would say that tower is
not
the
have
tower
a
that
phone
most
for
likely
90
provides service
days.
to the residents.
Now, we've got these bands for
Everybody.
803,
No phone.
3671.
For 90
Are
days.
kind of opposing and going in opposite directions, but then they seem to meet here. Does that mean anything to you?
Yes, so the fact that those bands occur so closely in time, one's at 10:24:0 and one's at 10:24:24, so only 24 seconds apart, means that the phone or device is likely somewhere on the edge of those two towers. And we're able to narrow down that it's likely in this area as opposed to this area or this area because logic just tells you that you can't get from here to here in 24 seconds. So you're going to be somewhere very close to where the towers intersect, and you're also going to be somewhere where you can logically get from one point to the other in the amount of time between the events.
Page 13.
Well, according to these towers, we know that you were here.
So the 478-305-9583 is now
Good luck.
moved from up
Tell them,
here
stay in school,
down here.
kids.
That's correct.
And then when I'm walking through it, the 803 number is also moving kind of generally down.
Yes.
And then you have the 624-3684 is remaining up here the entire time.
That's correct.
And then you've got timing advance bands again. Can you explain those again?
Again, that's going to give you, so in this case at 11:39 and 11:50,
I want to win the father taking the trial.
Yeah, eBay.
I mean, taking the
Stop the
stand.
advance ban. So instead of saying
That's what's gonna be the deal breaker, though.
it's off this tower, this sector, but instead of saying it's somewhere here, we know it's more generally and closer to the timing advance bands.
We got about 15 more minutes of coverage.
And you've got in these call-out boxes where these devices are and who the phone calls are between. So this is at 11:39 a.m. 803-3671 as an incoming call from 624-3684. So that 3684 number is kind of up here. The 3681 is down here, receiving a call. Is that what the map shows?
That's correct.
Page 14, we now have the 866-2370 number introduced. What is the general pattern of that phone?
So it shows you that at 11:40, the device was located over near this area using this tower and started moving in this general direction, ending up on this tower at 11:50.
Slide 15. We've got a lot of things going on. We've got 624-3684 is calling the 478-2831. So that number is now down here, the 478-2831 number.
That's correct.
And the 624 number is remaining kind of generally up here the entire time.
Correct.
The 866-2370 number is now here in this area.
Correct.
And then the green 803-3671 number is also down here in this area here.
That's correct.
And we've got a timing advance record again for that green phone because it's only that 803-3671 that you get the timing advance, right?
That's correct.
So while it's hitting off of this tower, it is. That's what
So I know they said the
means
phone
is
Queso's supposed to
approximately the distance
have.
it is away from
That's correct.
Like he didn't have a phone that was in his name. So it's like he had a phone, they was trying to figure his shit out. I was going to say hello to you again last night over that other channel.
Going to slide 16. The 624 number, again, still up in this general area.
Yes.
Now the 478 number is back up in this general area.
That's correct.
Like 1240. The red 478-305-9583 is now up here. It was down here, and so it's moved back up here.
Correct.
Now we're at 2:15 in the afternoon.
Then mother, you say you think Queso is over with for him though?
On the north side.
At 2:16, yes.
Slide 18. Now we've got a bunch of things going on again. So we've got our 624-3684, our 803-3671, all up here on the north side.
Correct.
We've got our 702-918-4911, and our red 704-1595 number is now back on, and it's also on the north side.
Yes.
And then we've got our 624-3684 also up here on the north side.
That's correct.
All right. Finally, you were asked to map this 904-240-5517
Most definitely
number.
probably gonna come back when
Yes.
his dad
At
to
any
take the
point
stand.
during the relevant time periods between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., was it ever in the area of the homicide?
It did not connect to any towers in that area.
They can have them on the ground.
Yes.
So that might have been the phone Queso had.
I think you need to know.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Cross-exam for Mr. Whitaker.
Said did not connect to any towers.
Yeah, please, court. Yes. Good morning, Agent Corley. How are you doing?
Good morning, ma'am. Good.
You use the word approximate location because you can only tell that the device is in the serviceable area of a
That is
cell tower,
correct. Yes, ma'am.
And as we see by, I guess we'll start with page 19 of your report, sir. Or actually, yeah, let's go back to page 18. The way you have illustrated this particular map makes it appear that all these phone calls were together. The physical devices were close to one another.
They were using the same towers.
And that's what you're trying to reflect, correct, sir?
Well, that's what the records say. I'm not trying to reflect.
How?
It is the tower, yes, ma'am. And the sector.
On this illustration, because all of your color coordination stops at that tower, you might look at that and say, oh, these phones must have all been together. But the records can't tell you that, can they?
They cannot.
In fact, they could be up to 2 miles from one another, correct?
I would say that's fair. It could be, yes.
Especially because in this particular part of Jacksonville, and this is kind of on the north side of Jacksonville, sir,
The rule.
Yes.
this is a little bit more of a rural area, correct?
Towers do appear to be further apart, so the coverage area would be wider.
Okay. And so I just don't want our jurors to have this mistaken belief that this is an illustration showing all of these phones must be together.
This is an illustration showing that all these phones were using the towers that they connected to. They connected to the same towers. But I cannot tell you exactly where they were within the tower coverage area. I can just tell you that they were in that area of the tower.
And again, in Jacksonville, and it's an estimate, but in Jacksonville, it's roughly 1.5 2-mile radius, correct?
I would say that's a fair average.
It was in that area.
And when we talk about these vectors, again, that's not absolute either, is it, sir?
The sectors,
Yes.
absolute in which way?
Well,
You mean
you know,
the degrees?
at the end of the day, all of these records and all of these towers, they are actually physically erected and monitored by the cell phone companies, correct?
I don't know about monitored. They're recorded
Okay.
and logged, yes.
The records are maintained.
Yes, ma'am.
And these are for-profit companies,
They
correct?
are. Yes, ma'am.
Their priority is full coverage, correct?
That is correct.
They don't want dropped calls, correct?
They do not.
And so, as you've explained, cell phones are designed and their technology allows the phone to decide, hey, how can I connect the fastest and best, correct?
The phone identifies the clearest signal. The phone decides the clearest signal from the tower.
Or wherever that particular phone is on in any particular moment, correct?
That's correct.
And because cell phone companies are in the business of not having dropped calls, their towers are going to purposely overlap, right?
There is a small overlap between sectors on towers, yes.
And so that's what I mean by it's not an absolute exact because there is overlap between towers, correct?
There is overlap, but on the same logic that you're speaking, the company doesn't want you to have dropped calls. It doesn't want you to
So
have
like I
clear
said,
calls.
basically,
If
what
there's
is
too
this
much
shit?
overlap, it has a
Do
negative
that really
effect on
boil
your
down
service.
to
So
anything
there is enough overlap so the call doesn't drop, but
when they
they're not
just
overlapping
just
and
trying to
closing
prove
each
you
other
was in the
because then there would
area?
be too much interference
It don't
with
even
your
matter
calls.
no
You would
more.
have a good
Really
user
do it.
experience. So there's a small portion of each tower.
Your
of
ass shouldn't have been in the
over 6.
area.
If you were
Is
to put a
basically what
number
they trying to
somewhere
tell
like
you.
70 to 75% out from a tower is when the towers start overlapping to provide that coverage so that you don't drop calls. And and to your point, I think what you're trying to say, I don't want to be confusing. The beams are not exact. RF doesn't stop in straight lines. So if I represent a beam on the map, it's not going to look like a straight line. It's going to look more like, a wiggly something like this. Just to be clear, I think that's what you were asking.
Sure. And so you can't say whether a particular phone is 100 feet from the tower or 1 mile from the tower, with the exception of the time in advance.
That is correct.
And there was only one, did you tell us there was 1 or 2 of the phone records provided that did provide that time in advance information?
Well, at the time, 2 carriers provided it, Sprint and Verizon. There were no Verizon phones, so there was only 1 phone in this analysis that had timing advance.
And which phone was that?
The phone ending in 3671.
Okay. And the full phone number for that is 904-803-3671?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And was that through Sprint?
That was through Sprint. Yes, ma'am.
And during this time period of 2019, 2020, wasn't Sprint being bought out by T-Mobile?
So the merger talks were ongoing, but Sprint and T-Mobile were still separate companies.
And wasn't Sprint suffering kind of from some defect in terms of the information they were providing?
I wouldn't say a defect. There was some records. In this case, we saw one with the sector missing, where a certain piece of information wouldn't be populated. So the information that was populated wasn't wrong, but sometimes data was missing. And this was, in general, as an opinion from CAST, it seemed like Sprint was waiting for this merger to happen, and they weren't focused on 4G. They were hoping they would get bought out before the 4G conversion. They did not, so they kind of scrambled to catch up with 4G, and sometimes their records reflect that. So if it's shown, it's not inaccurate or defective, but there were instances where some data fields weren't populated.
And obviously, your analysis is dependent on the accuracy of these records, correct?
Yes.
And
You know what's smart? Treating yourself without cheating your goals. Eat smart with Factor.
Yes.
in
Trouble
addition
part
to,
is
you also
best to
spoke
try and
about
outsmart
Sunray,
technology or
which you
just
refer to as
don't
tower records,
go out on the
or
mission.
tower list,
Yes.
correct? That's also compiled by the network companies, correct?
They are.
Okay. And they publish those periodically because they do change.
Yes, networks change. So if you want to increase your coverage or you are having trouble, then they will add towers. They will take down towers. They'll add different technologies to cover different things, data sessions. So when those change, the tower records have to be updated to reflect those changes.
Yeah.
You mentioned that's one of the reasons you go out of your way not to use the tower records that are provided with the call detail records. Go get the tower records separate to ensure for the dates you're concerned about, you're using the correct tower list, right?
Yeah, so there are instances when the tower list is organically in the records. In rare cases, generally when the crime occurred a while ago, so if I call in 2022 and ask for records from 2020, if they don't pull them correctly,
I think these guys need to try to figure out how to stay in
they
school.
might pull the 2022
To,
records for
you
the
know,
towers, along
a
with
lot
the
of street
2020
niggas need
records
to
for
try to,
the,
man, you
call
know,
details. So we just make sure that we have the right tower list.
stay in school today, studying. God damn it. Be some undergrads and
And I
shit,
think you
cause
explained that your analysis cannot give a precise location like a GPS coordinate.
That's correct.
You had mentioned back when Mr. Atkinson was showing you some detailed,
this ain't it.
and forgive me, I have forgotten. I guess it was
This ain't it.
data entry or data session.
Data sessions, yes, ma'am.
Data session. Shoot, he was showing you some records for that, and you said that at that time AT&T, you all felt, I guess, as an organization, that their records could not be relied on.
The records were reliable, but there were some known inconsistencies. Because of those known inconsistencies, we did not use them.
Because it appeared on those records, like within the column, there actually were latitude and longitude listed.
There were, yes. There were.
Okay.
And there were towers
That's
connected. Yep.
because of those anomalies, you never.
But
plotted
I'm
those.
out of here, y'all. I gotta hit it.
Records at that time.
It's time to hit the clock. I
Even though
appreciate
you
y'all
had
fucking with me though.
that were
You know, it's
supposedly associated
the
with data
hour
session,
where it's other
that's
shit
not
going
reflected
on.
in your
So y'all that came through and they chopped it up with me for a moment. I definitely appreciate it. I'm finna, man, gotta get out here and get to it though.
And again, the time in advance records.
Y'all enjoy y'all morning, enjoy your day, be safe, be smooth, and I'll get back with y'all later. Appreciate you, Miss Nikki, Miss Muffin, Elwood, whoever in the bushes, and whoever else on this motherfucker. I'm out of here though. Workflow.